Africa in Business on Channel Africa. Weekdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.
European Investment Bank EIB Vice President Tomas Östros is winding down his tour of Zambia, a trip that has also seen the publishing of the Financing in Africa Survey 2023. The EIB Vice President met with various stakeholders in the country, including Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema, discussing various matters of interest. Our Zambia correspondent Arthur Davis Sukopo now sheds light on the European Investment Bank Deputy Chief to Southern Africa and Zambia in particular.
European Investment Bank EIB Vice President Tomas Östros has been on a 3-day visit tour to Zambia, centered on cultivating, strengthening and prospecting investment and support for the Southern African country. Zambia is the EIB's largest country of operation in the Southern African region, as it has over the past 5 decades received from EIB more than 1.2 billion euro investments in business, water, energy and transport sectors. The EIB Vice President has since met various stakeholders from the Zambian political, banking and business leaders, international partners, to Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema, discussing matters and particularly investment and support of over 13 billion euros to private sector across Africa in partnership with African banks and financial institutions. Bank of Zambia, the central bank in the country, through Gladys Mposha, at one investment and financial support signing event attended by EIB Vice President, expressed gratitude in the support.
We anticipate this intervention to have a positive impact on the agriculture sector. The agriculture sector is an essential sector for the promotion of sustainable import substitution and export stimulation.
While meeting President Hakainde Hichilema at State House, the long-term lending institution of the European Union, owned by its member states, EIB, through its vice president, noted its continued support to Zambia and the African continent at large.
We have a substantial activity and are always interested in looking for new projects. We are the climate bank, as you know, so we look for green, sustainable projects. I had a chance to visit one of the small and medium-sized companies that are supported in the food processing industry, and I was very impressed to see the entrepreneurship, the drive, and the role that companies can have in the region by exporting to a neighboring country.
In Zambia's President, Hichilema appreciated EIB and all its 27 member states for the continued assistance as well as their support to Zambia's debt restructuring. Hichilema is further confident that Europe and Africa relations will continue to be of mutual benefits to both peoples.
If Africa rises, it doesn't threaten Europe. A better Africa is good for Europe.
As the European Investment Bank Vice President Tomas Östros is visiting Zambia, it has been seen as the right time for EIB to publish the Financing in Africa Survey 2023. The published survey underscores both positives and concerns, including negatives in terms of financial growth of the continent, and it has shown that 90% of the sub-Saharan African banks surveyed are actively investing in digital services and staff training. Mr. Östros notes that the Finance in Africa Survey 2023 underscores critical importance of ensuring that African banks are equipped to support transformative private sector investment, and that EIB remains dedicated to collaborating with other partners to address the challenges outlined in this report. And part of the EIB delegation to Zambia, Deborah Revotela, notes that in the published report, female-led firms tend to invest in innovation, export of goods and services, and offer employee training, and that loans to female-led firms are more likely to be repaid than the other gender. Reporting for the SABC's Channel Africa in Lusaka, Zambia, I'm Arthur Davis, Scopo.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa. Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Good afternoon. European Investment Bank Vice President Thomas Östros is in Zambia, concluding his tour that has also seen the publishing of the Financing in Africa Survey 2023. Östros has met with various stakeholders, including Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema. The discussions included matters of investment and support, considering that the European Bank has over years spent way over $137 billion to private sector across Africa in partnership with African banks and financial institutions. Östros has noted EIB's continued support to Zambia and the continent as a whole.
We have a substantial activity and are always interested in looking for new projects. We are the climate bank, as you know, so we look for green, sustainable projects. I had a chance to visit one of the small and medium-sized companies that are supported in the food processing industry, and I was very impressed to see the entrepreneurship, the drive, and the role that companies can have in the region by exporting to neighboring countries.
Regional Energy Regulators Association of Southern Africa, RERA Executive Director Elijah Sichone has